Hey, and welcome back. So it's finally time to tackle this Reeves Drive, which I've been putting off to the very end. I never have enjoyed standing on my head very much, and well, you younger guys will understand one day. Talk about awkward, try hammering in that position. This is the idler pulley. The two belts on the left are from the spindle, and there's two pivot bolts on the left and the right, and an adjuster bolt for the tension behind the pulley. So from what I've read and watched on some videos, the center disc is typically a problem with these. Mine is tight. It doesn't have any real side-to-side play, so it's good. I don't need to take it apart any further than this. And whenever I flush it out here, you can see a bunch of black debris come out of it. I think a lot of that is belt rubber, but the bushing that's inside is also black plastic, so it could be also from that. Somebody was definitely in here at some point. As you can see that the set screws were reset several times, and I just had to clean that up a little bit. This is a pretty good way of cleaning a bore out, is to just leave the shaft dirty, and that'll help scrape the bore walls. It won't get it completely clean, but it'll get you a lot closer. The two square-headed bolts are the high and low RPM stops. They're held in place with some set screws, and they were already adjusted correctly, so no need to do anything to them. I had some comments from some other Rockwell Lathe owners saying that their speed control handle would also slip, and this is how you fix that. There's a set screw there and a adjustment on the flathead, and you just dial that in, and that controls the tension on the handle. There's no bearing or bushing on this pulley, so you could just kind of walk it around on the shaft and get it cleaned up. Before installing the Reeves Drive, I went ahead and got the cable set to the right position so that the arrow is pointing to the high RPM and the low RPM like it's supposed to. So that was a huge improvement over what I had. The new belts and the bearings made a big difference. I don't have any more vibration, and noise level is way down, no weird noises, and it doesn't slip speed anymore. It stays where it's supposed to. Finally, time to make a chuck key and stop using a screwdriver as a chuck key. So I'm just getting some rough measurements here. I've got about 2 inches of clearance, and it's about a ½ inch roughly on the inside of that hole. Had quite a lot of comments last week regarding the record effect that was happening when I was facing, and what it comes down to, I think, was I didn't have enough radius on my tool bit, and the Reeves Drive vibration, I believe, was causing the intermittentness of the problem. And so between those two, I believe I got it sorted out. It's cutting very nicely, and I don't have any issues. I was concerned about the rigidity of the tool post disc, but that doesn't seem to be an issue. I wasn't sure how much material I needed to leave on the end of the shaft, so I measured a 3/8 extension and just reverse engineered the math and came up with 457 as my final dimension. Alright, so I'm ready to make my 5/16 square, and it basically takes 12 passes, 3 on each face, and it's 66 thousandths off of each side is what it works out to. So from 457 on the first one right here, I'll wind up at 391. And remember, I'm completely manual machining. I don't have a DRO, so I'm basically measuring after every pass. So I hit my dimensions all the way around, and I did go a little bit oversized because the hole in the chuck is a little bit wallered and it's weird. It doesn't measure correctly any way I measure it, so I just figured I'll leave enough that I can just use the die grinder with a Scotch-Brite disc and I'll fit it manually. So my initial idea was that I'd have two nice radiuses on either end of this, and as you'll see, that doesn't work out for me. Fortunately, I gave myself about an extra inch of material when I made this, so I don't know that you can see it, but that hole is not in the middle, and I had to rethink how to set this up. Remember, I'm completely doing this manually, and so I made a mistake somewhere, and after thinking about it, I thought, hey, this'll work. I'll just use the collets and get it squared up, and that'll put me right dead in the center. I'm sure I'm probably not the first person to ever do that, but I thought it was pretty smart, and it worked out really good because it's dead in the center. Woodworkers do that kind of thing all the time. Anytime that you can set something up and not have to measure, that's the way to go. So that's a 3/8 reamer, and the piece of material for the handle is 3/8. It's exactly the same size, so it is an interference fit. Every year I have these grackles stop in my backyard for a couple hours on migration, and it's a pretty awesome sight. There's thousands of them, and they make an insane noise, as you can hear. I'm glad it's only for a few hours. Hey, thanks for watching.